Hello guys, welcome to another episode of Ripster Daily Trade Recaps and Teachings. Hope everybody had a nice day, guys. So a lot to recap today. Morning was a little choppy, so we'll discuss that why morning was choppy, but mid of the day turned out really good for us. So a lot to discuss. FOMC tomorrow, so we'll go through everything, all the plays and market updates, and look for a plan for tomorrow. But before that, just a quick introduction. Anybody who's new to me, new to my YouTube or my Twitter, or new to my community, these are my daily trade recaps and daily teachings from the trades in the community. Any trade I take or I don't take, but any trade my traders in the community are taking, and we are making money, we're losing money, why we made money, why we lost, what was the loser, what was the winner. So we discuss everything. We do not trade random, we trade a strict repeatable system. We trade strict repeatable setups. So we have a repeatable system, repeatable setup, repeatable strategies. We play them again and again, day in, day out. We do not trade anything else. We stick with our system. Every day before the market open, me and my team, we go through all the news sources, up gappers, downgrades, upgrades. We create a game plan for the day. You see, this is the game plan for today, which had a bunch of the names: STNE, NCMI, DLO, NVDA, SMCI, CAR, Hood, among others. MDB SNOW as well were on our watch list as well. So these were our watch list plays today, and we'll watch and we'll see how each of them planned out. How did we trade, or any of those which we did not trade, how did they pan out? We will go through them. Not only that, every morning I also share pre-market levels with everyone. Those are Ripster levels that we share for support and resistance pivots, so the traders can take them themselves and they can trade based upon the EMA Cloud system. For example, we'll talk about Apple and Microsoft, how those levels panned out and how they worked out for the traders, right? So we are not an alerts community, we are a trading professional community where we trade with the plan. We share ideas. I guide everybody on voice first few hours. We also have something which says we have a day to day 3 setups, which are my setups, special strategy that I defined, which I call as a day 2 and day 3 setup, which are really a stress-free plays, and we also keep them on our side watch as a day 2, day 3 setup. So these are the things we do day in, day out, repeatable every day. So I'll go through all the plays for today one by one and see what worked, what did not. I will show you my timestamp guidance. A lot of things I say on voice in first few hours, which of course I can't show you, but I'll show you my timestamped guidance and the commentary that I do in the community. With that being said, let's start. So the first one we are going to look today is AMD. So we are going to look at 2 trades for AMD. We were short AMD in the morning. How did our short trade work out? And then we are going to look at the AMD reversal. So let's first focus on our AMD short. Why was it short? So market was gapping down today. A lot of the meat of the market was already taken by the gap down today. But anyways, right? So the golden rule that I teach in my webinars at the open is rejection of EMA clouds confirms the short bias. You can short at the EMA cloud rejection, or you can short the PM lows, right? PM lows, sometimes if they don't work, they can come right back at your face. So you just have to have a better entry. So the better entry is the pops, right? You starter, that's a better entry. But sometimes there's too much push, and if it doesn't pop, then you have to cut right away. Anyways, let's go back and first look at our levels for AMD today. So what were the levels? The levels was 184 and 186.58. So 184 was the resistance level which actually rejected, and then there was a this level of EMA clouds which rejected, which basically confirmed the bearish bias. And as always, I did say that we are going to watch we are going to watch this semiconductors today. They were on our high watch because of NVIDIA, SMCI, and semiconductors are basically watch for us every day. So then our support break on AMD was right here at when it was breaking that 182.30. So 182.30, and this area. So that was a support break on AMD, right? So I was a little late on the AMD short because I just wanted to make sure that it's it's rejecting. So anyways, so you break that 180. So you see that I said short starter. So that was the short on AMD, and after that we were watching the markets and we were watching how AMD is doing. It was doing nicely so far. It was making lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, lower highs, and AMD finally hit right 177.20. That was a level from few days. So our short, so let's look at that. So our short 180 rejection or the 184 rejection. So either of them can be short entries. So as you see, I was I posted a 940 on when this candle was opening, when we were going under there. So my short was from there at around 180s all the way to 177. So that was a decent short, decent win on the option side, puts as well. So we were short in the morning. You can pause it and see my guidance, and you continued guidance on AMD short, and I told everybody do not long AMD SMCI, they will pay more. And SPY QQQ was rejecting. That's why I said they should pay more, and we were going to a target. So I gave the target around this 178 area, and then we were pushing towards the target, and then finally when we met our target, then it started to consolidate. Then I told everybody that we should be out of it most, right here I told everybody that we should be out of the most of our short on AMD. So right here, right? So that's where I told everybody that we should be out of our shorts in this consolidation zone. There's no need to hold anymore. We should just we should be out of the shorts. So nice trade, not a bad trade, from 182s to all the way to 178, $4 per share. Or if you had a better entry, then you got much better on the short side for AMD. Remember the other day I was talking about how AMD was breaking the 20 EMAs, so that's why it was bearish. So now let's talk about the reversal trade on AMD. How did we reverse it later in the... So now we're going to discuss the curl on AMD. How did we trade the curl on AMD? So I'm going to go to the other window so I can show you what SPY and QQQ was doing at that time, right? So this was our AMD chart, and you can see a SPY QQQ chart, and then you can see the QQQ chart. So I will recap SPY QQQ in detail when I go there, but you can see that SPY and QQQ started to break out. SPY and QQQ started to break out. That's when I told everybody, right? And there was alerts coming in. It was not just if I go, so if I show you, I told everybody that SPY is bullish now. So let me show you some price alerts so that you will know that in our in community we keep eyes on that. So let's go back. Let's see when this the bullish pivot came right here at 1040 and 11s. So you can see so you see that QQQ is breaking 3450 to the upside, right? And the SPY was breaking out, flag break. So you can see that SPY QQQ were bullish. So that's when I told everybody, actually I told everybody even before that we are bullish now. Watch for AMD NVIDIA curls, scalp them long. That's when I took a long as well for the push, and the calls really went 50-60%. And initial curl, if you want to go back to, so what was the setup? This was a midday 512 curl setup, our repeatable setup every day. And you can see my guidance where I told everybody that we can long now. So we don't long here. So we don't have any business longing here. You long here, you lose. There's no long setup here. The long setup is here. The curl, the downtrend line break, SPY QQQ bullish. You see that, right? So this is what we do in the community. I show them the live. This is all on my live screen, and I expect everyone to watch it and see this. And most of the traders, my students, they are already in. They already know the curl setup. They already get in this curl when the curl is happening, right? So also there was a price alert on the curl as well. So let me see if I can show you. Okay. So let's go a little back here. So there was a price alert on AMD that came in on that curl, right? So let's go back. Yeah, so you see there, right? AMD crossing 179.50, 512 curls. So AMD was, you could watch that, and it pulled back. And that's where you buy, right? It pushed to 1790, and then it pulled back to 1760s. and that's where you buy, and that's where I bought the options. I think I have a screenshot there in on the trading floor. And then you hold it. Your first target is 34.50, and that's what I said, that your first target is met. Now you lock at 34.50. So you lock the 34.50 and then leave the runners, and then it held the 512. So you leave the runners, you get some more, right? From once, even if you were late 179s, you got decent $3 $4 move, and when it finally breaks this, you cut it. And that's where I sent a price alert again, that cut it. It's breaking the 512 and 34.50, just cut it, right? We didn't have any plans to swing it, but so you see how we traded downside, how we traded upside, right in front of you, the guidance on the voice, and there's this comments that I keep going all day. So AMD really made up the day. Otherwise the morning was not really doing much good. You know, QQQ chopped us out. We were loser on QQQ in the morning, but middle of the day, everything turned around and we did have a good overall on trades on these. The next one we are going to look at is Tesla, right? So next one is our Tesla. So let's see how was our Tesla doing. Let's check it out. So the first trade on Tesla for me was a short, right? Because it pushed into the EMA clouds again. We can go back and look at our levels on Tesla. So we can go back and we can look at our levels on Tesla, right? 172.12, 173. So that right here, right? So this area was resistance, and it was also the EMA clouds. So it rejected that. So you could short there, right? You could short there, watch it, or you can short later when it's breaking down. Whatever you want to do. If you short here, you keep starter, because in case it pushes, you cut away right away. You can have a limit orders there, whatever you want to do. But you know, I was already bearish, so you can see that, but I was waiting for my confirmation on the short side, and then confirmed short came in, and then our first target was 168. So we short here, you know, 171s, the short to like almost $3. My next target was 166.42, but when it swiped back up, that's when you have to cover, right? You can see I said I covered into 168s. Leave a small size. If it works, you make more money. If it doesn't work, you're still profitable. So when it pushed back or 512s, you get out. You know, you just get out, and then you leave it alone. Then you can long it. You can long Tesla on this, you know, and these are the pullbacks, right? So when it goes over the clouds, this is the pullback where you long, and you can long here, you can long here, stops right here, and let it work, right? So there was no short. I told everybody there's no short here. So we cut the shorts right away. We don't look back. Anyways, I told everybody there's room to push to 172, and that's where it pushed to. So you can see there. So that was my long guidance. I didn't trade it long. You know, I was fine with my short in the morning, but you can see my guidance on the curl on Tesla to 172, and it did push to 172. But you don't want to buy here, right? This bounce, you don't, unless you have a good entry, you don't know. This is B minus. You don't know if it bounces and it fades back. So these are risky ads. Yes, here you can add because turn bullish, and you can use this level. Just use 10-minute candles, lows. That's your risk. Always use them. So that was a nice short in the morning and guidance on the reward. All right, guys. The next one we're going to discuss is NVIDIA. The story for the NVIDIA is the same thing as AMD, because you know, it was holding that 850 level, and just like I showed you how the AMD and NVIDIA curled with the market, sorry, AMD and other stocks curled, similarly NVIDIA. So look at this downtrend line. So you can see this, nice, you know, you can see it more clearly on 1 hour chart as well. That gives you an idea. So that was NVIDIA curl. So now let's see what was happening in NVIDIA, right, in the morning. So the gap down has taken off most of the meat on NVIDIA short, right? So if there was kind of, you know, it was holding the 850 level. So that's why I was more confident on SMCI and other names rather than NVIDIA. But NVIDIA with the market, let's just keep this market on the top, right? So you can see the similarities between the market and NVIDIA, right? How the reversal. So these are the reversal setups. You don't have to buy here. You have to buy here when it confirmed the reversal trend. So this is where you buy, right? So you see that this is where you buy. So short was okay. I mean, if you were good enough, the short was okay. But the point is there was a support at 850 and it was swiping back up. So if you bought short here, you lost. So that was the choppy action today, right? We were not getting a follow through on NVIDIA short. That's how I lost on my QQQ short. I was trying to short QQQ, but it swiped right back. So that's why QQQ was a loser. But so that's why this morning was hard, right? You're trying to short it here, but then you get out short here, then you wait, because this is not breaking. There's a buyer 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 candles, almost 1 hour. The buyer is still there, he's not going away. So it's really tough to short there, so you get out. So but it was not a long yet. At the same time, it was not a long yet. I told everybody it's not a long yet. Wait. Then NVIDIA based, you see, basing of 1 hour, 850 support. Then that's my risk, right? You risk $7, $8, $9, $10, whatever. If you don't want to risk that much, you risk half the range or risk $5. But this is the setup. Maybe this was not a good risk reward, right? If you don't want to risk $10, maybe AMD was better. That's why we did AMD curl as well. But here's the thing, even if you risk 10 points, it ended up going 40 points. So that was 1 risk to 4 reward. Pause the screen, go through my comments, and then you'll see how I guided everybody through this curl. And my PM alerts were already going in that, if I show you that the price alerts, they were already going in that, SPY is bullish, SMCI is over 512s, NVIDIA is over 512s. So a lot of us in the community who had a tough morning came back on this reversal. Because look at this, right? 512 reversal and then this trend line. So this trend line and nice flag over 3450, and at the same time SPY is breaking out, QQQ is breaking out, and I shared this live on Twitter as well. So so there was no reason to not make money on this reversal, and a lot of the people in community did do that, right? So pause it and watch it and you will understand. And at this point, even I was like, it might be a choppy day, but when the market starts to reverse, got out of the chop, then that yes, we will find some good reversal trades, right? So that was the plan on NVIDIA, right? So that's how NVIDIA worked out, even though the short was not probably a loser for most of us, but the long was definitely a good winner. So today was all about the reversal plays, how to do the reversal plays, in the market. So watch it carefully what I'm teaching you here. So next one we are going to discuss is SMCI. SMCI was actually very successful in the morning, but the point was again similar to what we faced in NVIDIA and QQQ, that the short was not giving follow through. It was doing a base here. So, and we know when this happens, we have to be careful, right? We have to be careful because it fades and chops. It tries to break down and then chops, right? So that's why, that's why NVIDIA did that on the, that's why we were having some losers in the morning, because we were not getting follow through. And the point of this losers was we were already gapped down so much that a lot of meat of the move was gone, right? So how much did it gap up? It backed from 990 all the way to 850. Sell the news on the NVIDIA event. So that was a big gap up. Even though, there was a decent scalp to be made on SMCI. If I really look here, right, it was decent. If the price range is big, right, you could scalp from, even if 890s to 860s, there was a decent scalp to be made for the morning short. But yes, if you added here on the breakdown, then that's a problem, and then we lost. So the short was in the morning, and then after that it was the bounce because market was bouncing, and that was the warning. And it will happen, right? It's just those days, because the setup was a gap down fade, which is sometimes a little difficult if market keeps holding, because remember, we are already gapping down. So that's why you have to identify that how probable or how much probability is there. When you see the buyers coming in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, you just step away. So understand that. But anyways, SMCI was also a reversal. I just showed you my AMD NVIDIA reversals. So that was also nice reversal. You could trade back over ups. So next one we're going to look at is coin and MSTR. So for coin, we had a plan. So as you know, we had on a watch list, and our game plan on coin was simple. So we were, we were bearish. It was our day 2, day 3. So we go to a day 2, day 3 sheet and look at coin levels. 224 and MSTR level was 1300, 1318, right? So right away, coin was heavy. It was breaking down under those levels. And similarly, MSTR was breaking under that 1320 level, right? Or 1300 level. So the both of them was short. MSTR went 70 bucks from that short, and coin went from that 224 level to 216. So $8 shorts there, right? So my target was 215. We were almost close, but that's why you scale out. You scale out. And I told everybody that it's a short. And even if you were a little late, even if you were at 223s, you still made some good scalps. But if it's faded $3-4, you need to make sure you lock at least 1/3, 1/4 and put the stops break even, and then you get out. When this happens, then you get out. Then yes, I didn't trade it long, but you could trade it long from this curl. And it was not an all day fade. Again, the coin has gapped down, so that took a lot of our meat, and that's why it was curling. So we just need to manage these. If you are short here, these losers, you need to just keep them under control. And also look here, it's bouncing over 2021 EMA on daily, so that's important on coin as well. So it can easily bounce here if tomorrow is a bullish day, because it's the 2021 EMA. So we watched our price alerts, kind of a flag there as well. Let's now look at XPEV. So XPEV was a long loser in the morning, got stuck in that amateur move. Should have just stayed bearish, but we just follow the price action, right? Yesterday we were bearish. So anyways, the XPEV was breaking out of these levels, and it was holding the 10 bucks, and it was getting out of yesterday levels. I thought it's a long, tried a little bit long, but it right away failed on me. And when this candle happens on 10-minute, oh, that's a dangerous one. Just get out, don't look back. Right, so I told everybody to watch the pullbacks very strong, added at 1030s, right away it ripped back, so took 30-40 cents lost, and then quickly, and then I told everybody short the pops now, right? So that's fine, we lost, we short the pops, and we change our buys. And from the 10 bucks, remember, the rule is simple, always simple. Here, let's go to the game plan. The rule is always simple. The rule on XPEV, neutral bias versus 10, over it bullish, under it bearish. And then you see, if you short it, even if you're late, it went all the way to 927. So you literally made 70 cents. If you lost 30 cents on the morning trade, on the short side, you made like 70 cents. So anyways, you can see the guidance here. I was long, and then I told right away everyone that do not long it, short the pops, and there goes the short. So XPEV was a good short. Luckily the loser turned into the winner. So next one we're going to look at is Hood, HOOD, Robin Hood. So what was the plan on Robin Hood? Let's go back. So Hood basically had a Goldman Sachs had upgraded it, but it was weak. It was weak with Bitcoin and crypto, so that's why it was weak. So bearish bias, but we'll also watch for any B- bounce. So bias was bearish, and you can see the levels that I had were Hood was 1725s and 1780s, and you see as soon as 1725, and you don't really have to short the pre-market lows, right? The best entries are the bounce that fails. Yes, sometimes the bounce don't fail, then you get out right away, but this was nice rejection. I told everybody it's bearish. Once I saw this this candle flushing down from highs, and right, it opened right here, right? So remember, right away before the market open, they swipe it and it flushes. So that's always, you can't long it right before market open. And then I told everybody it's bearish, and then it was a plan. It breaks pre-market low, you add more there, and then it my target was 16, but it was a decent fade from 1720s to 1670s. I think community was doing good on Hood, but again, then we go. Market was bouncing, coin was bouncing, everything was bouncing. So you need to get out of that, and that's why you scale out. You leave 1/3, 1/4, half position, and then you get out here. As soon as this happens, you get out. Even then, so your entry should be somewhere here, not here. Then that's a problem. Let's look at Adobe now. Adobe was a big win for us yesterday, but the daily chart, I love the daily chart. and it's a swing now, right? So I've been talking about it yesterday as well, in yesterday's video as well. Let's go back, look at today's level, right? We were swinging some from yesterday, and today's level on Adobe were 510, 512, 515, 73. And you know, as it's a day two rules, over the clouds you long it, and that's what I told everybody, that Adobe strong yet again. So you long it, and the breakout was 520. So you can add over the breakout as well. It pulled back for a bit, was kind of scary, but remember, it never broke the 512s. It never broke the 3450. And the good thing on Adobe was 1 hour just turned bullish. So expect some more push tomorrow. And you can see the timestamp guidance. So I told everybody that 520 is the first target. We break out and we hit the 520 target. What the target I gave from the morning, we hit that. And you can see the price alerts and the breakouts coming. So Adobe was a decent for everybody in the community, and I told everyone that we can swing it 1 hour. And you know, big gap, 500 psychological level. Adobe was a lot of good risk reward on Adobe. We can draw some Fibonacci here, and we see that 526 should 527 should be ideal next. We'll see if market bullish tomorrow. Adobe is definitely going to push higher, right? This was a dip, was nice on the swing side. So we nailed it yesterday, we nailed it today. Yes, these dips are scary, but remember, never breaks the trend, right? Never breaks the EMA Cloud. And when you are doing the swing trading, then you have to respect 3450 or 1 hour 512. That's what you have to respect. Let's look at some other names from the pre-market plan. Let's look at CAR. So CAR was on the watch list today. Bullish bias versus the cloud, upgraded by Bank of America. 108, 110 were the levels, and CAR was bullish right away, pulled back to 110 area, pushed again. So solid area. And now we'll watch, actually we want to watch the CAR for later as well, for the swing here, getting up over 116. It's tried few times to break this. Every time it comes back to 100, it's a buy this area, and then it's a good one for swing as well. So it was a nice trade there. So let's see at DLO. What was DLO? So DLO was a short today. Let's look at the watch list and game plan. So DLO was bullish if 16 holds, gap fill under it. So that was simple plan. Revenue increased, new CFO named, you know, but it was bearish. And if you see that the guidance on DLO, I told everybody it's a bearish versus 16, no short, you know, no basing so far. And if can't hold 15, we can see more lows. And look at this, right? From 16 reject, you short it. Wherever you short, 16 is your risk, and faded nicely to 14, 14.50, right? Even if you short it late, even if you short it 15.60, you still got $1 by end of the day. You just have to hold until it turns over the clouds. So STNE was kind of a loser today because it chopped the both sides, right? First it pulled over the clouds, pulled back, and you long it here. So let's go to the game plan, right? So game plan was same as DLO. Bullish if 16 holds, gap fill under 1610, 1580 were the levels. But it was bullish and then it pulls back. And when I see these two candles, these are very dangerous. I want to see here it hold here. But then it faded back, and then, you know, it turned to a bearish bias, but then it swiped back up. So then we left it alone, right? But it was a loser today. It will happen, but you don't let losers go out of the hand, right? I'm going to quickly look at two of our plays, which were both our day 2, day 3 play, and also on the watch list. One was MDB, another was SNOW. SNOW was good, you know, it's turning 1 hour bullish, so high watch on swing. I already told that, you know, versus 150 level. So not a full size swing yet. We see more consolidation. Any pullback to 150, you can swing. But MDB and SNOW, I told everybody to watch the 512 curls in the morning, and then SNOW same, right? SNOW was the same one. It was curling, because when the market curls, everything curls. And I did tweet about SNOW as well. Let's go back and look at our levels, right? The SNOW and MDB. MDB was 352, SNOW level was 155, and there was more levels that I drew in the morning. So you can see those 154.50, right? So that was the main level on SNOW. So once 154.50 was reclaimed over the cloud, it kept pushing. The first long was over the 512 clouds, but you see that once those 154.50, 155 levels pushed, SNOW kept pushing. Same for MDB. When I mentioned those levels in the pre-market game plan, you just need to long that when that level is reclaimed and watching, getting the confirmation from the clouds. So MDB over 352s, right? Little higher, but even before that, because it was gapping down, even before that you could long this curl. That's why I mentioned MDB there. So both are decent ones. Both will be going to be on ongoing watch for us, maybe a swing watch if tomorrow's FOMC is kind of bullish. Both MDB and SNOW will be swing watches for us. SNOW has a nice weekly chart. MDB has fallen a bunch. I think it's a good correction if I see how much it has came back from the highs, right? So so that's not bad. Let's see how much. Yeah, is it 30% from the highs? Yeah, that's a decent failure MDB. So we'll watch it. Quickly want to look at Microsoft and Apple, which were the strongest names today. Let's see why were they strong. So there was Microsoft, there was Apple, and Apple definitely has some more room to push, also on my swing watch as well. So let's go back and see the levels on Apple from the morning. So Apple, the level 174.50 and Microsoft 417.60. So these were the levels I gave, and when you see as soon as that level breaks, that's a long, right? So that's a long, and so this first candle was under it, second candle, third candle, you long it, put the stops at 173.95 and you just long it, right? So same for Microsoft. What was the level I gave in the pre-market? Let's look at my levels. So Microsoft, my levels were 417.60. So once that 470.16 breaks, same concept, you long it. And I was not trading. It doesn't mean that you guys don't have to long it. You just have to find a setup that works for you. And I'm just showing that how the levels and the clouds are working. I did mention that MS did the strongest names or Apple, and they kept going. And especially when the market started to go crazy, that's when you hold it long. Alright guys, let's look at SPY QQQ. I did cover most of it, but I want to talk about something. So when market gaps down, right? The problem is it's a lot of meat is already gone, and we just have to be little cautious. So that's why we lost in the QQQ chop today. So QQQ, as it opened, it was bearish. It started to fail under the pre-market lows, and we short this pre-market lows, but it swipes back at our face. So we have to stop out as it goes to 512. So that's why it was choppy, and then it dips again, then swipes again. So this is a problem. This is where we lose money, and this is where we have to stay away. SPY was kind of holding up, but QQQ, you see the gap down, push and fade, right? Then of course we have done this before, the reversals into the gap. There are opportunities. This is not the first time we have done this gap reversals. If you look at our some of my previous recaps, you will find out that how successfully we have traded these gaps, market gaps, right? So this one was on QQQ, this one was on SPY, so that's fine. The short side did not work, but we were bullish on the curls, right? We traded AMD curl, NVIDIA curl, any other curl. You were at Adobe long, SNOW long, take anything that was strong, SHOP, TTD, take any name that was working, right? But now, and the SPY QQQ alerts, I was alerting right away when 512 was turning bullish, when 3450 was turning bullish, and also Jay in community, who keeps eye on the flow, he told that there's millions of call flow coming in. So that's your conviction to trade SPY QQQ long. So initially it was a reject, then it was a chop, but when it finally breaks out of this trend line, then you long. That's fine, you lost in the chop, who cares? We go long, right? When this, it was chopped till here, and then this breaks, it starts to get out of that chop, right? It's a range breakout in the gap. So you see this green one is the gap, and this green one is the gap, and that's where it's going into, and that's what your trade is. Once the gap is gone, it goes further. So you don't want to short these moves, you long this move. And we also used VIX strategy, right? So if VIX was weak, I told everyone we break those VIX levels, we fade more. So let's look at VIX levels. So VIX levels were 1450, 1426. So 1450 breaks, we go higher on SPY QQQ. 1420 breaks, we go higher on SPY QQQ. I did tell that VIX if 14 breaks, we're gonna push, and 14 breaks, we pushed more. So that was the plan. That's how you trade convincingly. Even though morning was okay, but you stick around. I got a lot of DMs today. A lot of traders did really good on this curl. So we need to be stay on top of it, right? We can't just take a loss and move on. Yes, if we are emotional, if we're trying to trade emotionally, yes, then we step away, we come back next day. But these kind of opportunities, when they come, we need to nail them. If you see, and whenever this curl was happening around 11, so all my price alerts were going. Look at here, QQQ crossing 3450, Tesla crossing 3450, SPY crossing 512s, AMD crossing 512 curl, MDB crossing key levels, NVIDIA crossing key levels, right? So that's how we long NVIDIA there as well. So yeah, just wanted to cover that. We'll see FOMC tomorrow. So guys, the thing you learned today is that how to trade the reversal with confidence, how to manage the morning gap down chop, and how to play those reversals and identify them. So hopefully this helped. Tomorrow will be fun. If you want to trade with us, join the community. Do not come for the alerts. So we'll see what happens in FOMC. Market still held the channel today. So SPY held this channel nicely, very bullish. So we are kind of, if there's something good, we are actually setting up for a breakout. If they don't, if we break this, so either way, if we break this channel, then we go down, boom. And if we go breakout, then we go the breakout route. So anyways, we'll be ready whatever happens tomorrow. Nice trades. Some swings are setting up. We'll trade those swings. Looking really nice. QQQ also has some nice downtrend line. So we'll be watching tomorrow in FOMC. These two will come handy. VIX versus 14 will come handy. So these are the things we are watching, and 10-year yield as well. As if it breaks around under 428, that's going to be bullish for market. If the yields get back over 430, that's going to be bearish for market. So all these parameters we'll be watching. Very confident we are going to nail the market tomorrow. So hopefully this helped today, guys. Definitely not an easy morning, but if you stuck around in the community, you did well by end of the day. Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.